In this video, you will learn about the structure and function of the spinal cord. The spinal cord extends from foramen magnum at the base of the skull down inferiorly through the vertebral cavity until the second lumbar vertebra. The spinal cord isn't uniform in size along its length. There are two enlarged regions where nerves branch out to the limbs. The cervical enlargement is located near the superior end of the spinal cord, and it connects to the nerves serving the upper limbs. It might be surprising to learn that the lumbar enlargement is not found within the vertebral foramen of lumbar vertebra. Instead, the lumbar enlargement is inside thoracic vertebrae from T9 through T12. The lumbar enlargement connects to the lumbar and sacral nerves that serve the lower limbs. Conus medullaris, the cone-shaped inferior tip of the spinal cord, is in the first two lumbar vertebrae. Below the conus, spinal nerves travel downward through the vertebral cavity before exiting. These nerves are known as cauda equina because they look like a horse's tail. Here we see an illustration with a longitudinal view of the spinal cord and transverse slices taken from different levels. The names of these spinal cord segments refer to the numbering of the spinal nerve roots that they are connected to. Nerve roots extend from each segment of the spinal cord, connecting the spinal cord to peripheral nerves. Notice the numbering of the spinal nerve roots is different from the numbers of the vertebral bones because there are 8 spinal nerve roots in the cervical region. Cervical nerve roots numbered 1 through 7 travel through the intervertebral foramen superior to the vertebrae with the corresponding number. C8 is superior to the first thoracic vertebra. Thoracic and lumbar nerve roots all travel inferior to the vertebra with the corresponding number. Sacral nerve roots travel through the sacral foramen, and coccygeal nerve roots travel through the coccyx. Each segment has dorsal and ventral nerve roots on both the left and right sides. The dorsal or posterior roots carry afferent fibers, sensory information entering the spinal cord. The ventral or anterior roots carry efferent fibers, motor commands exiting the spinal cord. Together, these roots merge to form a spinal nerve, which contains both sensory and motor fibers, allowing two-way communication between the body and central nervous system. In a transverse section, the gray matter of the spinal cord is in the center and shaped roughly like a butterfly. The gray matter is divided into horns. The posterior or dorsal gray horns contain axon terminals of afferent sensory neurons and interneurons that process incoming sensory information. The anterior or ventral gray horns contain cell bodies of somatic motor neurons, which send signals to skeletal muscles. The lateral gray horns, present in the thoracic and lumbar regions, contain autonomic motor neurons that send signals to regulate the functions of glands, cardiac muscle in the heart, and smooth muscles in the walls of hollow organs. Surrounding the gray matter is the white matter, which contains myelinated axons that form tracts carrying information up and down the spinal cord. These tracts are organized into white columns. The posterior or dorsal white columns carry ascending sensory tracts that relay fine touch and proprioception, that is, your awareness of body position. The anterior and lateral white columns contain both ascending and descending tracts. Ascending tracts in the anterior and lateral columns carry information about pain, temperature, and crude touch. The descending tracts in the anterior and lateral columns connect to motor neurons in the ventral horns to regulate contraction of skeletal muscles. In summary, the spinal cord is a beautifully organized structure. It receives sensory information from the spinal nerves and sends motor commands out to control most of our muscles. It contains the control centers for simple reflexes. The spinal cord also connects to the brain, allowing for the coordination of more complex reflexes, conscious perception of sensory information from the body, and voluntary control of the skeletal muscles.